Hi, and welcome back to Jen and Dan's Natural Healing with Plants, the go to podcast for holistic health seekers looking to harness the power of nature for health and healing. I'm Jen. I'm a passionate health educator, whole food, plant based culinary coach, and master herbalist. And I'm here with Dan, an exercise specialist and wonderful master herbalist. Together, we dive into the world of both natural healing and traditional wisdom, bringing you a wealth of knowledge. We love to dig into the modern science with herbs and foods to help you achieve optimal health. So, we're excited about this topic, and that is the link between strength training and longevity. And I think it's something that people underestimate. I know I have been obsessed with weights since at least high school. And I know that you have too, Dan. So why don't you get us started on this one?
Well, I think a lot of people overlook how important strength training is. And I also think it's because of the culture. A lot of people, I've had women tell me, well, I don't want to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger. I'm like,
Right.
oh my God.
You don't have
Well,
that
good
testosterone,
luck.
baby.
Huh?
You don't have that testosterone.
But as health coaches, the reason I'm so passionate about strength training is because it is linked with longevity. And my all my clients, I try to help them, lose weight, get healthy, but most importantly, live a life where they live a long life, but they are still capable of living and doing the things they want to do, and actually, whatever they want to do instead of being housebound or in a nursing home. And this is where strength training comes in because a lot of people in a nursing home, I remember when I was in college years ago, a lot of people in nursing homes. Some of them, they still have a good mind. Their mind's good and everything, but they're in there because they have lost so much muscle throughout their, life cycle. They're so weak now that they cannot do daily. They can't go to the grocery store. Some of them, it's hard for them to get off the toilet. It's hard for them to get out of the chair. And so this is where it starts to become a problem because you've lost so much muscle mass. So I think it's why after age 30, you lose, I think it's like 5 or 10% of your muscle mass every 10 years, I think, something like that, which is
Something
significant.
like that.
Yeah.
Right. But I don't think you have to.
No,
And
no.
so we have so many different places to go with this. So first of all, so my grandma's 103, and she does live in a senior living facility, and she does have some assisted living now, but she has always had weights. She would keep her weights, hand weights underneath her recliner and would lift weights, just doing, presses and things like that with just her little hand weights and during commercials and stuff like that. And she's even had some physical therapy recently where they would come in and she had her weights and the same thing, 103. And so she still walks and stuff like that, which is fabulous being that old. And I think that we can really um, say that a lot of it is from using the weights and being active. We always talk about when I'm talking to my grandma, an object in motion stays in motion. We have to keep moving. Our bodies are made to move. And so we want to make sure that we're still moving our body and using those muscles. The use it or lose it is really true.
Yeah, another thing people don't realize is, so if you're a woman, and this does happen to some men, but osteoporosis is a health problem that a lot of women can develop after, or actually perimenopause, premenopause. They start to
Yeah.
lose bone density. Good news is strength training can increase your bone density. I work with a woman now, she's 56, and another lady out there we talked to, she is 50, 53. And before she started strength training, she got her bone density looked at, and her bone density was getting low. After a year of weight training, she goes back, her bone density had increased by a lot. And so they know this now. You can actually increase your bone density, build your bone. When you strength train, actually, your bones get stronger as well. So that's very important.
Yes, yes, and much better than taking those bone strengthening supplements.
Oh yeah, a lot better because of the side effects. And I don't know if
Right,
someone
right.
would
And we
even
don't want to
work.
harden the bones. Your bones should be a soft tissue. And a lot of times people these supplements we take harden the bones, which
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, makes them more brittle.
Calcification.
We need
Yeah.
flexibility. Yeah. Think about calcification in the arteries, right? We don't want that. We don't want to be adding things like that. Anyway, use strength, use the strength, use strength, and you can use body weight. You can use
Mhm.
light hand weights. You don't even have to get big. I actually have equipment because I'm obsessed with weights. But you can start small. We in my membership group we have people who use books. They'll hold books or their dog. While they're doing
Yeah.
squats and things like that, bridges, stuff like that with the dog. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because this is accessible to anyone. If you have your body, you can work out. Body weight exercise is excellent. I mean, a lot of, well, the military, for years, they've used this body weight training, and a lot of boxers, they just use body weight. They get tremendously strong and flexible
Hmm.
from this body weight
Right.
work.
Yeah. Like maybe you don't know how to do a push up or you're afraid to do a push up or you can't even get down on the ground to do a push up. You can do one against the wall.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and so it's so easy to do those things. Just making sure you're adding pressure and strength to your bones and your muscles, right? And building those. And then eating well too. Like nutrition is important too, but we have to make sure that we're using those muscles. And one of the things we were talking about earlier, we were talking about squats and knee pain before we got on the call. And I was talking about, squatting down to get this stuff out of my dryer. My dryer is really low to the ground. I'm a short person anyway, but it's still really low and have to really squat low, your butt to your heels, grabbing the stuff out of the dryer. And that can be hard on people as they age. Being able to squat down to get your laundry is these functional exercises, things that we do every day, reaching up to get the glass down from a shelf, getting a pitcher down, getting a heavy platter down. Can you lift up, put those things away, putting the dishes away, getting the dishes down, putting cans in the pantry, and pulling them down and stretching and reaching different ways too. And so it's not just lifting weights is for longevity. It's also going to help you as you get older to do all of these things that you want to be able to do. You don't want to have to get someone to come help you put your groceries away or get things down for you.
I'm glad you brought that up because the reason we get that way as we get older is most of the time is because we went through our whole life and we did not practice these things anymore. Like, reaching to get something. How many times do we have to do that? So you start to lose your flexibility and squatting down. Like most people can. I mean, I have a client now. I think she's 50, and she has a hard time just squatting down. She's gotten so stiff because she's an office worker.
Mhm.
And so she's used to sitting all day and she doesn't move her body. So now I'm trying to retrain her. I'm trying to get flexibility back into her body because that is it's just going to get worse if she doesn't reverse it, through exercise. So I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, and you don't it's like maybe you remember the statistics. I can't remember what it is. Like we're living longer, but not functionally longer. Like the last 10 or 15 years of most people's lives, they're not able to walk around and do the things that they want to do. And so for me, I want to live to be at least 103 like my grandma, but I want to be able to run around and do whatever I want to do at the same time. I don't want to be stuck in a chair or a bed.
Oh, exactly. That's another reason I do this is what is the point of living to
Yeah,
90, but
yeah,
you sit in a chair all day? I mean, that's boring, right?
right.
But see, I think a lot of people believe that's just what happens, but it doesn't have to be
Not
that way.
necessary. Right, right. And think about how lonely that is. If you end up in a wheelchair or a bed, you can't get out and go see other people and socialize. You have to depend on other people coming to see you, right? And nobody wants that.
Well, when I was in the exercise science program in college, we had to do a paper one time, and I remember I was interested in elderly strength training, and there's a nursing home setting. They did a study. They had the people in the study were from 80 to about 95 years old, and they were on walkers. All of them were on walkers, and they wanted to see, well, I wonder if we can help these people get off these walkers. So
Hmm.
they come into the nursing home and they put these people on a 12-week strength training routine. They did leg presses, chest presses. It was machine work mostly. And I think almost at the end of the 12 weeks, I think 8 of the 10 were able to get off of the walker and
It's
they could
amazing.
walk without the walker.
That's amazing.
And the other two, I bet you if they just kept going, they could do it too.
Yeah.
I mean, I train a guy now. He's in a nursing home and he is 79. He has some dementia and it's hard for him to get up. And so we're starting to train him. And the more I train him, the easier it is for him to get up. And I'm sorry, I get excited about this topic, but he had a stroke too. So he's got a little bit of, just a little bit of paralysis in his leg, one of his legs. But just from strength training in his room, he's able to get out of the chair easier every week. And he's got even more problem. He's got, dementia, affects your nervous system. So he's got nervous system problems. But even then, the strength training is still helping him move around and get up,
Yeah.
even through that.
Yeah. That's amazing.
So,
Yeah. I just think it's so important. Yeah. My
oh,
grandma, she can walk around without her walker, but we tell her to use her walker.
yeah.
She doesn't use it in her apartment very much, but we just don't want her to fall.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Being 103. So yeah, and so another thing is, when you think about strength training, people think about bodybuilders. Like you said, women say, "I don't want to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger." Look, those people who look like that, they they train in a specific way and eat a specific food plan, and their whole life revolves around looking like that. And so, your regular strength training is not going to do that. And so, because our podcast is all about plants and food and nutrition and herbs and things like that, let's talk a little bit about that, because I mean, I want us to talk about that a little bit, or maybe we should save that for the next podcast, because even though you're strength training, you don't have to increase your protein. You don't have to worry
No.
about counting your protein, your and things like that. And so people think, oh, I'm lifting more weights, I have to add more protein. And that's also not true. If you're bodybuilding, then yes, you do need to look at your protein needs. But if you are just the regular person going to the gym 3, maybe 5 days a week, lifting weights, I'm training just to build some strength, not trying to be a bodybuilder, then you don't need to worry about your protein needs.
I'm glad you brought that up because a lot of people are wasting their money on buying protein powders and buying a lot more protein foods. I don't count protein anymore. I just know that I try to eat as healthy as possible, try to get foods with nutrition. I really worry about more these days about micronutrients like vitamins and minerals in my food because
Vitamins
that's
and a
very
little
important
fiber.
too. Fiber, yeah.
Yeah.
If you're eating enough calories for your body to maintain your weight, you're going to get enough protein and everything else that you need for your body to recover from workouts.
Yes. I'm glad you said that, because so many women, especially my age and above, menopausal, transitioning and above, are really used to under eating. We've been taught, 50 plus years, we've been taught eat less, exercise more, eat less, exercise more. And I have had clients, many, many clients, where we sit down, they do a food journal, and I write down, plug in to Chronometer. I love Chronometer, and what they've been eating, and they're averaging 800 calories a day. Well, if you're eating 800 calories a day, then you are not meeting your protein needs. You're not meeting your nutrition needs. You're not even meeting the needs your body needs to pump your heart. And so you do need to make sure you're eating enough calories. You can just type in any Google calorie needs. You plug in your age, you plug in your activity level, you plug in your gender, and it will tell you how many calories you need. And that's how many calories you need just to do your regular thing throughout the day. And so make sure you're at least meeting those needs.
I'm so glad you brought that up because I see with dieters, they never get off the diet. They're living
Right.
on 800 calories a day. They think that's normal.
Yeah.
That's
They're
really bad for your
stressing
health.
their
That's
body.
bad for your longevity. I mean, it's
Yeah. Super
so
stressing
yeah.
the body.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. So make sure you're eating enough. So I don't know why I got onto that. So let's talk a little bit more before we wrap it up about this. So with muscle training, strength training, using weights, even light weights, that can help with insulin resistance, that can help to restore metabolic health as well, and reduce inflammation. reduce muscle wasting. And so there's so many reasons why strength training is helpful for us today, but also for our longevity.
Oh yeah, I'm glad you brought that because I was telling you this morning. Let me pull this article. They were talking about people who strength train only 90 minutes a week have longer telomeres, and telomeres is, it's in your cells. This means basically it means that they're aging slower. It slows down your aging process. Now, who doesn't want to slow down that, right?
Right.
Yeah. Just 90 minutes a week, you
Right.
know?
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I actually had the longevity test done through Dr. Furman had a study where, so there are tests you can do. I can't remember what it was called. It might be called the age test, where they actually measure your telomeres. And so that's something that
Wow.
I found was really interesting. And it'll tell
Yeah.
you how old your body is and your cells and everything. So that's interesting. Yeah, and so they can use that. You can have it done now. Anybody can,
Oh.
but they use those in their studies to see, what happens when we do these different things.
Well, also we're talking too about they're doing studies on hand strength, grip strength, and
Yeah,
people with the strongest grip
yeah,
or tend to live longer than people with a weaker grip. But the good news is you can strengthen your grip. I mean, you can get, I think even Walmart has your little, they call them hand grippers. You just squeeze them.
yeah. They're
It
really
builds your hand
hard.
strength. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. And they're showing that strength training can help stave off dementia, which is huge because so many people have that now. And
right, right.
I mean, it's just good altogether. To me, it's almost like the body. When you strengthen the body, the brain thinks you're younger. I mean, they don't really understand exactly why, but a weaker animal in the wild, it will die, right? So I mean, this is my theory that when you strength train and you're strong for your age, your body thinks you're younger. That's my theory. They don't know exactly why.
Mhm.
It slows down aging, but I think that's one reason because they could, I could talk all day about this, but there was a study. They took these 75-year-old men over the weekend, they put them in a cabin and they put all these things in the cabin from 20 years ago. So these guys were they want these guys to think they were 55 years old during this one weekend. So they would put on the TV commercials from 20 years ago, ads from 20 years ago, whatever. And after the weekend was over, they checked their blood and they are expressing genes of younger men. Just
Wow.
from the mind, you see?
Yeah, that's incredible.
It is. This is an emerging science, strength training and positive thinking. It all goes together because everybody that I've ever trained, even that old man at the nursing home, when we're done with our workout, he feels so much more positive. You can tell he feels better. He
Mhm.
feels more confident.
Yeah.
Mindset. It helps with your mindset, and mindset is so big, so important. So,
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I love that. Yes. Yeah. I think we should close there.
all right.
So thank you. Yeah. So move your body, but using weights, using body weight, whatever you can to strengthen your body, help with your functional fitness, and working on your flexibility as well. And that can really help you live much longer. So if you enjoyed this episode, please share it with your friends, share it with somebody that you think would enjoy this, and comment. Let us know. Do you strength train, and what do you do, and how has that helped you in your life? So, thank you for joining us, and we look forward to being with you again next week.